Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a look at the vz61 USA stock adapter and optics mount, and specifically mounting it on a first generation Southern Tactical / Tort receiver, which shares the same style of threaded holes as the checkpoint receivers, both of which differ from the original dovetail. The thread pattern is different between the checkpoint and this receiver, but otherwise they're similar enough that this can be made to work if we swap out the mounting screws. Also, I bought both of these at full retail, just FYI. The stock adapter itself is nice machined aluminum with a Sling swivel socket on both sides and threaded holes on the top for mounting the optics mount. When first fitting the adapter to the receiver, it would snag on this lip on the receiver, but the aluminum on the adapter pretty quickly shaved off and now it fits nicely and snug. The standard screws, which are for the checkpoint pattern receiver, are metric 4 by 0.7 millimeter threads and 10 millimeters long. I replaced them with these number 8 32nd 3/8 inch long machine screws. The half-inch screws were a little too long, but could probably be cut a little shorter to work. However, these 3/8 inch screws should suffice. Mounting the adapter requires a little finesse since the holes didn't perfectly align. These first generation Southern Tactical receivers were a little rough, so I'm going to blame the receiver. Regardless, I was able to get it securely attached without making any modifications directly. I just had to work the screws back and forth until they were both seated. Once attached, I installed the optic mount, which is simple enough. Just ensure the orientation is correct and screw it in with some Loctite. One thing I do like is that even with the optic mount installed, you can still field strip the gun. As long as your optic doesn't overhang, you can slide the upper forward and pivot it open. Also, the iron sights are technically visible through the slot cut in the optic mount, but just barely so. I do like that the Sling cups are anti-rotation, since the Sling mount would otherwise just hit the receiver and rail. I first mounted the triangle brace, which fits nicely. Folding is still functional without hitting the receiver, and the iron sights are very low but not impossible to see through the notch in the optics mount if you smash your face into it. This optic is a good height even if it is way too big and a little close to the face. It's just what I had close at hand. Editor's note, I ended up more properly building this version out with a micro red dot and a stock pad to add rigidity as well as length of pull. This turned into quite a solid setup. Also, you can fit one 10-round magazine in the triangle stock pouch, which is always handy. Next up, the Zhukov Stock. Stocks with a larger footprint are going to take up the entire rail, if not more, and aren't going to allow mounting lower down, which would be preferable. Iron sights are going to be completely inaccessible even without an optic mounted, but with an optic, this is very comfortable. The length of pull is a solid 12.5 to 15 inches, and the stock folds and locks without hitting or interfering with the firearm. It's kind of a ridiculous look, but it's surprisingly comfortable. Lastly, I threw a BRN180 Stock on there since I also had that. This one is a bit shorter and less bulky than the Zhukov, and it fits surprisingly well. When mounted, it stays within the footprint and locks correctly. Fairly comfortable, it's not offensive. And that's all I've got for this one. If you have one of these vz61 receivers or a checkpoint receiver and you want to have basically unlimited options for stocks or optics, then I think these are a solid option. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Honestly, I'm just going to keep it like this.